How did a former Apple employee found his own startup and shape it into a gargantuan in the gaming industry? From humble beginnings, struggling to sell Atari cartridges, the story of Electronic Arts is one of perseverance with the adaptability for a growing company to keep up with market demands. So who is Trip Hawkins, and why is he a fundamental asset to the creation of a gaming giant? The story of EA is far from just a tale of success. Behind the massive hits and blockbuster franchises lies a history filled with bold moves, risky decisions, and more than a few controversies. From the rise of EA Sports to the backlash over microtransactions, EA's journey has been as complex and unpredictable as the games it produces. So how did a company born out of one man's vision become both a beloved and notorious giant in the gaming world? And what does the future hold for EA as it navigates the ever-changing landscape of the gaming industry? Stick around as we dive into the fascinating and often turbulent history of Electronic Arts, because this story is just getting started. To truly grasp how Electronic Arts, or EA, became the giant it is today, we need to rewind to the early 1980s and step into the shoes of a man who dared to see the future of gaming before anyone else, Trip Hawkins. Trip Hawkins wasn't just any tech enthusiast, he was a visionary. After earning degrees from both Harvard and Stanford, two of the most prestigious universities in the world, Hawkins found himself at the heart of the tech revolution, working alongside Steve Jobs at Apple. But even amidst the innovation of Silicon Valley, Hawkins couldn't shake his lifelong passion for video games. He believed that games were more than just simple diversions, they were an art form. And like any great art, he believed the creators of these digital masterpieces deserved to be recognised, much like film directors or rock stars. In 1982, Hawkins decided it was time to turn his vision into reality. Leaving behind the security of Apple, he founded Electronic Arts with one bold mission: to elevate video games to the level of high art and treat the people who made them as the creative geniuses they were. This was a radical idea at the time, when video games were often seen as nothing more than kids' toys or passing fads. But Hawkins was undeterred. He secured $5 million in funding from private investors, a staggering amount for a startup back then, and set out to build a company that would not just make games, but change the way the world saw them. He chose the name Electronic Arts to reflect his belief that games were a new form of artistic expression and that his company would be a home for artists. From the beginning, EA's strategy was as innovative as Hawkins' vision. He didn't just want to create games, he wanted to create stars. EA marketed its game developers as rock stars, putting their names front and centre, a move that was unheard of in the industry at the time. This approach was captured perfectly in EA's first major marketing campaign, We See Father, which showcased the artistry and creativity that went into making their games. And the results spoke for themselves. Early titles like Mule and The Bard's Tale weren't just games. They were experiences that captivated players and critics alike, setting the stage for EA's future dominance in the industry. But this was just the beginning. How did EA transition from a bold startup to the industry leader we know today? And what challenges did they face along the way? The answers lie in the next chapter of EA's story, where the stakes would get higher and the pressure to succeed would only intensify. With the foundation laid, Electronic Arts was ready to take the gaming world by storm. The 1980s and 1990s would see EA transform from an ambitious startup into a powerhouse that would redefine the industry. As the video game market exploded, EA saw an opportunity to expand beyond the realm of personal computers and into the booming world of home consoles. Hawkins and his team understood that to dominate the industry, they needed to be everywhere, on every screen, in every home. This led to the strategic decision to develop games for a wide range of platforms, making EA a household name no matter which system you played on. But it wasn't just about making games, it was about growing the company at an unprecedented pace. EA embarked on an aggressive acquisition strategy, buying up smaller companies and development studios. Each acquisition wasn't just about adding more games to EA's library, it was about bringing new talent, ideas and innovation into the fold. This approach allowed EA to diversify its portfolio and produce a string of iconic titles that would cement its place in gaming history. During this period, EA gave the world some of its most beloved franchises. Titles like John Madden Football, SimCity, FIFA, NBA Live, and Need for Speed didn't just achieve commercial success, they became cultural phenomena. Each of these games tapped into something new. Whether it was the strategic depth of SimCity, the adrenaline rush of Need for Speed, or the intense realism of FIFA and NBA Live, EA wasn't just making games, they were creating experiences that resonated with millions of players worldwide. One of the most pivotal moments in EA's history came in 1991 with the formation of EA Sports. Realising the untapped potential of sports games, EA Sports became a brand unto itself, dedicated to delivering the most realistic and immersive sports experiences possible. The company's commitment to authenticity led to groundbreaking partnerships with real sports leagues and organisations, giving EA Sports games a level of realism that had never been seen before. Titles like Madden, NFL and FIFA didn't just allow you to play a game, they made you feel like you were part of the action, whether on the field, the pitch or the court. As EA's reputation grew, so did its ambitions. In 1989, EA went public, raising the capital needed to fuel its rapid expansion. With increased funding, EA was able to pursue even more ambitious projects, shifting its focus towards acquiring valuable licenses that would allow them to create games based on some of the world's most popular franchises. This led to partnerships that brought the magic of Star Wars, Harry Potter and other beloved properties to the gaming world, further solidifying EA's status as a leader in the industry. But with great power comes great responsibility, and as EA grew, so did the challenges. How would EA balance the need for innovation with the pressures of being a publicly traded company? And as the stakes got higher, would EA stay true to its original vision, or would the drive for profit lead to compromises? The answers to these questions would define the next chapter in EA's journey, one that would be filled with both triumphs and controversies. As the new millennium dawned, Electronic Arts stood at the pinnacle of the gaming world. The company had transformed itself into the largest video game publisher on the planet, with a portfolio of games that were not just popular, but iconic. Titles like The Sims, which became a cultural phenomenon, and Battlefield, a franchise that redefined the first-person shooter genre, solidified EA's dominance. The company continued to thrive on its bread and butter, sports games, where titles like Madden, NFL and FIFA remained perennial bestsellers, each release eagerly anticipated by millions of fans. But as EA's empire expanded, cracks began to show beneath the surface. The first signs of trouble came in 2003, a few years after EA acquired Westwood Studios, the creative force behind the beloved Command & Conquer series. Fans had come to cherish Westwood's unique approach to real-time strategy games, but under EA's management, the series began to lose its identity. The once great franchise became a shadow of its former self, leading to widespread disappointment and criticism from the gaming community. This was just the beginning of EA's troubles. In 2004, a storm was brewing inside the company, one that would expose a darker side of the industry. An anonymous blog post, later dubbed the EA Spouse letter, revealed the grueling working conditions at EA. Employees were reportedly subjected to long hours, often working weeks without a day off, all in the name of meeting tight deadlines. The letter sparked outrage, shining a spotlight on the industry's crunch culture, a practice that has since become a major point of contention in game development. EA's image took a hit, as the public began to see the human cost of the games they loved. The criticism didn't stop there. As EA continued to grow, so did its appetite for acquisitions. The company's aggressive strategy of buying up smaller studios and securing exclusive deals led to accusations of monopolistic behaviour. Critics argued that EA was trying to dominate the industry by any means necessary, stifling competition and creativity in the process. But perhaps the most significant backlash came with the rise of microtransactions and the pay-to-win model. In the mid-2000s, EA began introducing microtransactions into their games, allowing players to spend real money for in-game advantages or cosmetic items. While this was initially met with some acceptance, things took a turn for the worse in 2017 with the release of Star Wars Battlefront 2. The game's loot box system, which allowed players to purchase randomised awards, was widely criticised as a form of gambling, especially when it was revealed that significant gameplay advantages could be bought rather than earned. The controversy grew to such an extent that it sparked a global debate on the ethics of microtransactions in gaming, leading to regulatory scrutiny in several countries. Despite these challenges, EA remained a dominant force, but the company's reputation was now tainted by the growing list of controversies. How would EA respond to the mounting criticism? Would the company learn from its mistakes, or would it continue down a path that alienated its most loyal fans? The answers would shape EA's future in ways no one could have predicted. As the 2010s rolled in, the once mighty Electronic Arts found itself facing a storm of criticism that threatened to topple its empire. The controversies that had begun in the previous decade only grew louder, and the company's reputation was on a steep decline. The tipping point came in 2012 and 2013, when EA earned the dubious honour of being voted worst company in America 2 years in a row. This wasn't just a fluke. It was a reflection of the growing frustration among gamers who felt that EA had lost its way. The backlash against microtransactions and loot boxes reached a fever pitch during this time. Players were fed up with what they saw as EA's relentless pursuit of profit at the expense of game quality and player experience. The controversy surrounding Star Wars Battlefront 2 was the culmination of years of discontent, and it painted EA as the poster child for everything wrong with modern gaming. The outcry was so intense that it forced the company to rethink its approach, but the damage to its reputation was already done. And the hits kept coming. EA's reputation for rushing games to market without giving developers enough time to polish them led to a string of disappointing releases. Titles like Mass Effect Andromeda and Anthem were hyped as the next big thing, only to fall flat due to technical issues, lackluster storytelling, and incomplete content. Fans who had once been loyal to EA were now questioning whether the company could still deliver the high quality experiences they had come to expect. But even in the midst of this turmoil, EA began to recognise that it needed to change course. The company started to shift its strategy, placing a greater emphasis on listening to community feedback and focusing on what players actually wanted. This wasn't just about damage control. It was about rebuilding trust with a community that felt betrayed. One of the first signs of this new approach was the release of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. This single-player story-driven game marked a departure from EA's recent focus on multiplayer and live service games. It was a return to the kind of immersive, high-quality experiences that had originally made EA famous, and it was met with widespread praise. Similarly, FIFA 20 showed that EA was willing to listen to player feedback and make meaningful improvements to its flagship sports franchise. EA also began to publicly recommit to quality over speed, announcing that it would take the time necessary to ensure that future games were fully developed and polished before release. This was a direct response to the criticism over rushed releases, and it signalled a shift in the company's priorities. The message was clear. EA was trying to get back to its roots, focusing on creativity and craftsmanship rather than just the bottom line. But could EA truly reinvent itself after years of controversy and missteps? Would these efforts to rebuild be enough to win back the trust of gamers who had grown disillusioned. The next chapter in EA's story would determine whether the company could successfully navigate this period of decline and emerge stronger on the other side. After weathering the storms of the 2010s, Electronic Arts finds itself in a complex position, still a giant in the gaming industry, yet constantly walking a tightrope between innovation and controversy. Today, EA is a company that's both celebrated and scrutinised, trying to balance its rich legacy with the demands of a rapidly evolving industry. In terms of its current standing, EA remains a formidable force. Franchises like FIFA, Madden NFL, The Sims, and Battlefield continue to draw millions of players worldwide. The company has also expanded into live services, with games like Apex Legends leading the charge in the free-to-play Battle Royale genre. EA Play, the company's subscription service, has grown significantly, offering players access to a vast library of games for a monthly fee. This move towards live services and subscription models represents a major shift in EA's strategy, one that's designed to keep players engaged and paying over the long term. But as EA continues to evolve, new challenges are emerging on the horizon. The debate over microtransactions, particularly in relation to loot boxes, hasn't gone away. While EA has made efforts to be more transparent and player friendly, governments around the world are increasingly scrutinising loot boxes, with some countries even considering or enacting legislation to regulate or ban them. How EA navigates this ongoing issue could have significant implications for its business model. Looking to the future, EA is also investing heavily in new technologies, including cloud gaming. The company sees cloud gaming as the next frontier, a way to reach even more players by making games accessible on any device, anywhere in the world. This technology has the potential to revolutionise the gaming industry, but it also presents new risks and uncertainties. Will players embrace cloud gaming, or will it be met with skepticism? And how will EA ensure that these new platforms deliver the high quality experiences that players expect? As EA moves forward, one of its biggest challenges will be maintaining a delicate balance between profitability and consumer satisfaction. The company's history shows that when it focuses too much on the bottom line, it risks alienating its audience. On the other hand, when it listens to its community and prioritises quality, it can produce some of the most beloved games in the world. The road ahead will require EA to constantly navigate this balance, making decisions that satisfy both shareholders and gamers. So, where does EA go from here? Will it continue to dominate the industry by embracing new technologies and business models? Or will the controversies and challenges that have dogged it in the past resurface, threatening to undermine its progress? As we've journeyed through the history of Electronic Arts, it's clear that EA's legacy is as complex as it is influential. From its early days as a pioneer in the gaming industry, founded on a vision that games could be an art form, to its rise as a global powerhouse, EA has left an indelible mark on the world of video games. The company has given us some of the most iconic franchises, from The Sims to FIFA, and has continually pushed the boundaries of what's possible in gaming. Looking ahead, the future of EA remains unwritten. Will it continue to innovate and redefine the industry, just like the empire that Epic Games has moulded through decades of innovation and resilience? Watch this video next to take a step through video game history and discover how an engineer managed to create a world-dominating gaming colossus.